Oilers Nation Everyday with your hosts, Tyler and Liam.
In the case of the Edmonton Oilers and the 2025-26 season, the court of Oilers Nation Everyday declares the Edmonton Oilers are not back. Let's get into it with the lead. We suck again. Damn it. We were good for like 5 days. That sucks, man. God, I'm so mad. Anyways, welcome into Oilers Nation Everyday. We're live from the Sports Closet studio. Check them out online at sportscloset.ca. Also, 3 locations in the Edmonton area: St. Albert Mall, Sherwood Park Mall, Kingsway Mall. 3 for 3. Sorry, I was still in judge mode there. Shows a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. The YouTube chat says, Jarry on waivers? Why? Did last night not go well? Joining me as my co-host today is Ryder from the hit show The Sauce with Ryder and Lisa. Appreciate you popping in.
Yes, I'm going to try to do a British accent for the entire show today. I was gonna start it, and then I didn't even know where to start, so maybe not. I'll just go with this Saskatchewan accent.
Yeah, that's good. Appreciate you joining me for the whole show today, because Liam is still out of town. He is in Penticton. Oh no, he's not. Where is he? Calgary?
Where's Liam? Kamloops?
Where's Liam? Does anyone know where Liam is?
He's near the Okanagan.
Yeah.
Probably. Or he's in Calgary scouting a tournament. Oh, no, he is in Penticton. He got in a plane. Yeah. So Liam's in Penticton.
because he's seeing DuPont.
Yeah, he's going to watch Landon DuPont. Anyways, the point is Liam's not here. Jeff Marek will be here in a couple of minutes. He's going to join us to talk about a number of things. One, the Oilers just getting their asses handed to them by the Dallas Stars for the second time this season. They've now lost 2 games to the Dallas Stars by a combined score of, I think it's 16-5. Oh, boy. Hey, they got 5 on Ottinger.
Yeah, this does not look like the same team that ran over Dallas last year in playoffs. That's
5 games,
a little worrisome.
Yeah, it is a little worrisome. Dallas looking better than they have in the past couple of years, which is saying something considering they're the most successful regular season team over the last 3 seasons in the NHL. They've accumulated the most points over those 3 years of any team in the league. And yet this year they are on pace to have more points than they did in either one of those 3 years. So I know that's a little bit of a jumbled up stat there, but it's impressive nonetheless that Dallas has continued to do what they do, also while missing 2 of their best forwards in Mikko Rantanen and Roope Hintz. There's reason to believe a team that has not lost a game in regulation since January 22nd, there's reason to believe that they're going to get better down the stretch. That's insane.
Well, it's pretty wild, too, that Colorado looked untouchable unless they had their season, blow up on them. Yeah. And it hasn't. They're still playing great, winning a lot of games. And Dallas is just chipping away and could take that from them. Colorado being a number 2 seed would be insane.
Yeah, and then you sit there and you're like, oh, man, poor Minnesota, who's the 3rd best team in the West, but is going to have to play one of the 2 best teams in the NHL in round 1 of the playoffs. That's absolutely wild. We're going to talk about the playoff picture and all that stuff when Jeff pops by in a bit. But first, let's dig into the hockey game last night. Our game recaps are brought to you by Derek Dodge. It's the beginning of a new chapter for Derek Dodge as they are under new ownership, bringing a fresh approach, new energy, and a renewed focus on customer experience. And if you look at the screen right now, blink a couple times, rub your eyes. You're not mistaken. You buy now, you go to Vegas. You leave the lot with a new vehicle, and flights and accommodations for a trip for 2 to Vegas are on them. That is a deal that is tough to beat. Derek Dodge, visit them at 6211 104th Street Northwest or at derekdodge.com. It took all of, 28 seconds yesterday for the Oilers to fall behind by 1? I liked your story about going to curling last night.
Yeah, I had about 2 minutes to watch the game before the curling game started. So I watched Jamie Benn's first goal, and then the curling game's over. I go upstairs. I was like, man, I bet we're back in it. I bet we're maybe even leading. I look up at the TV. I see Jamie Benn's score again. I watched maybe 15 seconds of hockey, and I saw both of his goals.
Jamie Benn scores a minute 23 into the first period to make it 1-0. He then scored a minute 32 into the third period to make it 6-2. Both goals. I don't know if I want to call the last one a backbreaker because I really don't think the Oilers were getting back into that one, but they had scored back-to-back goals before the end of the second. But that first one, again, shot wide of the net. Bouchard doesn't pick up his man. Jarry doesn't maybe handle that puck the way you'd want him to. And we'll get a look at it here on the screen. But like, there was also a decent amount of contact there. I was mildly surprised the Oilers didn't challenge this goal. But again, you go down 1-0 early. The last thing you want to do is put Dallas on the power play and risk going down 2-0 early on in the hockey game. They went down 2-0 anyways when Sam Steele scored his 11th of the season. So it was 3-0 by the end of the first. And again, when you have a team that's humming the way Dallas is, and you just kind of gift them one right out of the chute, and you're down 3-0 after the first. I know Jack Michaels will always give us his sort of, they're not done. This team's no lead safe against the Oilers. When it's a team as good as Dallas, it kind of felt like, this lead is probably safe.
Well, and that first goal, so not only did it feel like more than just a goal for Dallas, like you said, with the way they're humming, but it felt like more than just a goal for Jarry, too, who actually did look pretty good in the third against Colorado, had some confidence, and then immediately just taken away from him. And it felt like that happened immediately.
Yeah, and we talked about that yesterday where, from a mental perspective, was it good for Tristan Jarry to just get thrown into a game against Colorado and perform really well? And maybe it would give him that little bit of all right, I'm back. Actually, I can stop good players. I can make big saves, all of that stuff. I worried a little bit. All right, going up against a Dallas team, very potent offense. Again, best or second best team in the NHL, depending how you want to view it. He then had, 36 hours to sit there and think about that game. And he's a guy who's fighting for the crease right now. If you would have came in, and again, we're dealing in hypotheticals now because this didn't happen, but if you would have came in and played well last night, there would have been a real conversation, maybe not tonight, but Sunday when you're back at home, there would have been a real conversation of who are you starting in that hockey game? Because again, Jarry could have almost won the crease back with another good effort last night. It was anything but that, and now you're at the point where you're just hoping that Connor Ingram is actually 100%, and they're playing him because he's truly healthy and not just playing him because they're like, holy shit, we can't trust Jarry again.
Well, it felt like there's been a few short stretches where the two goalies are fighting for the starter's position, but more so it's felt like who's fighting for who can lose it harder. Yeah. You're just who do we trust least? Okay, they're not our starter right now. But yeah, hopefully
Jarry's running away with that.
Yeah, we have a winner right now for sure.
Jason Robertson made it 5-0, and the game wasn't even halfway over. It was a shot that, again, when it rains, it kind of pours. If Tristan Jarry had not given up the other 4 goals in this hockey game, and the Wyatt Johnston one to make it 4-0, that was horseshit, dog shit, whatever kind of shit, penalty killing you want to call it. He just stood there in front, and Darnell Nurse was just too bad. But that last Robertson goal where it goes off the post, off Jarry, and in, and then it's again, if the other 4 goals don't happen, you'd look at this and be like, you know what? That was maybe just a little bit of bad luck. But again, when everything else is going, even in the third Robertson goal where it goes off the post, off him and in, there's bad luck. There's bad goaltending. The system in front of him is brutal. They cannot play an acceptable level of defense. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Everything went wrong last night, and everything went wrong against a good team. And that's what you get.
Do we feel like he's in the right position to make these saves most of the time, and there is some bad luck tacked on top of poor goaltending, or is it genuinely he's just playing really bad right now?
That's a really good question. And maybe this is where, again, I'd want to have a goalie expert on, a Carter Hutton, who can tell me a little bit more about these goals. Because that Jamie Benn goal, there was some contact there that threw him off, and then Bouchard didn't pick up his man. I also look at that and Hutz has told me the number one thing to watch for is how often is a goalie going outside of his post. If a goalie is sharp on his game and focused and not being lazy, they'll never leave their post because there's no sense in being outside of your post because a puck that's going wide of the net can't really hurt you all that much, right? So you watch that first one with Ben and you go well, he's sliding outside of his post. He's not putting his foot down. He's not staying in control, and the puck goes in. The Jason Robertson third one, he's in a good spot. His reaction time is maybe bad. And then again, it goes off the post, off him and in. So I don't know. I think it's one of those things where Tristan Jarry would probably tell you everything's going bad right now.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot of positives to pull.
It was wild to hear that even in practice, he was getting scored on a lot. That's not a good sign.
I just find he's swimming out of his crease so often. That very first one from Jamie Benn. Yeah, there's some traffic there, but he's completely moved to the edge of the blue paint where, you're not going to stop the puck there. And it feels like it's not even just one thing, it's multiple. And then there's points in the second, third where you're like, oh, he's making some solid saves right now all of a sudden, as he was kept in there first half of a back-to-back. He had to wear that entire game last night, but Lance says it here, he's just playing bad.
Yeah.
He is. And I do, like, again, the team in front of him is also feeling bad. And I think there is a little bit of like a snowball effect when you're struggling as a goalie. The team in front of you is struggling. So you feel the pressure of grade A chance after grade A chance. And I see Kyle in the chat says, I don't blame him for the 2-on-1 goals. And like, I really don't either. You're also allowed to make big saves would kind of be my counterpoint when you're a $5.3 million goaltender. So there's a lot of things that go into this. And is it all on Tristan Jarry? Again, no. The team in front of him has to be much better. Could a good, I won't even say great, would a good goalie mask some of these things? Yeah, absolutely. But like, and I'm jumping around a lot in how we're discussing this game, but even that seventh goal where Matt Duchene just, walked in, flipped it to his backhand, roofed it. It's a beautiful goal when you watch it in real time. And then you look and you're like, okay, Spencer Stastny gets peeled off of, isn't expecting a spinorama in a 6-2 game with a minute left. Sure. Jake Wallman poke checks, misses, and then instead of like staying with him, he just drops down to his knees and gets in Jarry's way. And it's like, again, I'm sure Jarry would love everyone to pull up that clip and he would sit there and go, see the shit I'm dealing with on a routine basis. You don't give up 7 goals just because your goalie's bad, I think is kind of my take. But that also could have very easily been a 4-2 hockey game where maybe the defensive deficiencies and the goaltending's not a part of the conversation.
Well, and look at what we've done this season when it is only a 4-2 game. Like, is there any team in the league that's as good at making these comebacks that a lot of people count you out for? So like staying in the game is important. You don't need to be the best goaltender on the planet to be a good goalie for the Oilers right now. Like, you just need to keep us in games and let the Stars, the majority of the time, do what they do and come back and win.
Like, I won't even, we've all used, sorry, go ahead, Aaron.
Analytics are analytics, but when I saw this last night,
yeah, I mean, the expected goals, and that's all situations too. So that includes the power play where, again, the Oilers' power play is historic once again this season. Last night, they got a couple chances and didn't really get much of a sniff. Dallas did a good job keeping them to the outside. But yeah, you look at that and you go, all right, that should have been, Dallas was almost a full expected goal better than the Oilers. Like, that is, as far as expected goals go, like a pretty significant margin. But that right there,
they lost by 5.
That doesn't scream. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
That doesn't scream 7-2 to me, which again points to a myriad of issues with this hockey club right now. And with all of that being said, when this road trip started on last Sunday against Vegas, if I would have sat here and said, hey, they're going 3-1 in Vegas, in Colorado, in Dallas, in St. Louis, if I said they go 3-1, everybody would have said massive victory.
Take it. Yeah.
Oh my God, take it and run. People probably would have taken like 2-1-1, I think is what Liam and I kind of said, is like, that's the bar. If you go 2-1-1, this is a success. They still have a chance to make this road trip a resounding success. And the expectation that they're just going to go on the road to Vegas, Colorado, and Dallas, 2 of the best 3 teams in the NHL, and a team in Vegas that is right with you in the standings. The idea that they could just go and steamroll and win all 3 of those, that's unrealistic. It's the 7-2 that bothers everybody, I think. If they lose that game last night 4-3, and just like in Colorado have 10, 15-minute stretches where they dominate, we're not sitting here bitching. If Jarry gives up 4 goals on 30 shots last night, no one's sitting here bitching. But it's the fact that when it's bad, it's just this bad.
Well, and it's also too bad it wasn't the first game of the 3 that we lost this bad, because then we all would have been grumpy for that. But then we'd think we're just on an absolute heater and have the confidence going into St. Louis tonight to dummy them. But yeah, it's kind of tough when it's right in the middle of the road trip. You get just punished.
Yeah. One more thing while we wait for our friend Jeff Marek to get set up here, and a bunch of people saying it in the chat. Do you just put Tristan Jarry on waivers? And Puckpedia had a tweet about this the other day. No, you cannot put Tristan Jarry. You can waive him, but he can't go down to Bakersfield. After the deadline, only players that can be sent down are those that were in the AHL on deadline day. If you remember, that is why the Oilers put Josh Szymanski and Doc, and they paper transactioned those guys back down so that if they needed to send them down at some point, they could. But Puckpedia clarified it. After the deadline, the only players that can be sent down are those that were in the AHL on deadline day or spent most of the season in the AHL, but were on the NHL roster on injured reserve at the deadline. So Jarry does not meet either one of those two pieces of criteria. So if the Oilers are going to make a recall, and let's say they recognize that Jarry is unplayable right now, and based on the numbers, I don't think that's an unfair term to use when describing him. Based on the numbers, maybe they feel that way. They would have to find another way to make room on the roster for Pickard and carry 3 goalies. But let's keep this conversation going and head out to the guest line. Our guest line is a presentation of your Prairie Toyota dealers. Are you looking to dominate off the ice as much as your team does on it? Check out the Toyota Tacoma. Its standard I-Force engine boasts an impressive towing capacity of up to 6,400 pounds. In fact, it's the most powerful Tacoma ever, and the available panoramic multi-terrain view monitor gives you a live underfloor view to navigate even the toughest terrain with ease. When it's time to load up, the available power liftgate makes loading your gear in and out a cinch. Experience power, capability, and convenience with the Toyota Tacoma. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer during Red Tag days from March through May. Jeff Marek from The Sheet, Jeff Marek from the DFO Rundown, Jeff Marek from the Hockey Lifers podcast joins us. Jeff, how you doing?
Oh, God. Jeff Marek, hockey Jeff Marek, guy that picks up kids, guy that's going to shovel snow here after he picks up kids today. I wear mini hats, Tyler and Ryder. I wear mini hats these days. How are you guys doing today?
We are good. I'm going to do, because you've never met my friend Ryder before, so I'm going to do an icebreaker question that'll really mend your guys' two interests. When you think junior hockey in Saskatchewan, you think who, Jeff Marek? Any name. Just throw it out there.
I mean, I think about probably junior hockey in Saskatchewan. I want to say I think about Colby Armstrong, even though he played for Red Deer. I think about Sasky Colby. I think about the Armstrong family.
I would say Braden Holtby, maybe.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're a guy who grew up in Saskatchewan junior hockey rinks.
Yeah, and he was Holtby from Marshall, played a lot of hockey in and around Maidstone, our hometown, so we kind of took him as our own. And then to see him with the Blades, it's pretty awesome.
So a couple of things to that. Corey Conacher, you guys remember that name?
I do.
Tampa Bay Lightning, Corey Conacher. So Corey Conacher always said that he's going to name his dog after the first goaltender that he scored his first NHL goal against. Who do you think that goaltender was?
So did he name the dog Holtby?
100% he did.
Doesn't sound that easy to yell.
I don't know. I always found it weird. I don't know how Brady would feel about that one. At somewhere there's a dog named after him because he surrendered Corey Conacher's first goal. But as you mentioned, Braden Holtby, as I live for arcane and obscure facts like that, Corey Conacher named his dog after Braden Holtby because that's who he scored a goal against. You know, when I expanded out though, because the Saskatoon Blades always had tough teams, I'll probably think Wendell Clark from Kelvington, who played with the Blades. But man, the Blades had a run where they had every single tough guy. They were one of the tough. I always felt bad because the Blades never got there to win the WHL champion. But man, they would run you out of the rink on the regular. God, was that team tough? Yeah, so tough.
Since we're somewhat on the topic of goaltending, I guess with Braden Holtby, goaltending is once again the topic du jour here in Edmonton, Jeff, as I'm sure you're aware. Tristan Jarry thing. This one from Puck Report on Twitter. Tristan Jarry, since January 20th when he returned to the crease, an .826 save percentage, its last of the 71 qualified goalies, -9 goals saved above expected, last of the qualified 71 goalies, a .509 goals against average. What are the Oilers going to do here?
I know this is not a very popular opinion right now in Edmonton, and I know everybody is at torches at the Castle Gate for Tristan Jarry. Send out the monster. The volcano needs a virgin. I get it. Okay, I know that's where Oilers fans are at with this goaltender. Now, you may say, okay, Marek, yeah, but it's only one more game. I still don't think that he's completely done here. And I don't think that the Oilers think or hope that he's done here, but he hasn't bought himself a whole lot of grace and hasn't bought himself a whole lot of leeway. How many times have you seen, this is the difference here. How many times have you seen Pickard throw a clunker, and because all the guys love him, it's don't worry about it. It's fine, everything. But now Jarry throws a clunker and everything is tight and everything is tense and everyone is thinking it doesn't matter like what we do here, it's all going to be undone by a couple of bad goals from our goaltender. Like there's not a whole lot of runway here for the Edmonton Oilers and Tristan Jarry. And, one of the things, like Edmonton hasn't been, the only team this year that's, had goaltending issues, maybe the most high profile, certainly because it's Edmonton. But think back to something that Harry Sinden used to say. So the former Boston Bruins general manager always had the best saying about goalies. And we've heard a lot of great sayings about goalies. Like if you have a goalie, it's 70% of your team. If you don't, it's 100. That's always a good one. Alain Vigneault would always say, hockey is easy. If your goalie is better than my goalie, you win. But if my goalie is better than your goalie, I win. Ned Harkness from the 70s would always say, like, we need to change the name of the game from hockey to goalie because that's all that really matters. That's a famous one. I always liked Harry Sinden's line the best. Harry Sinden, GM of the Boston Bruins, used to say this. Hockey to me is like oxygen. I only think about it when I don't have it. And right now, all those players are consumed with thinking about their goaltending. And it's got to be an awful feeling knowing that, scoring 5 goals might not be enough. And that they can do whatever they want, and it could all be undone by a couple of bad ones going in. And if you haven't bought yourself grace with your new team, it's even tougher for you. And it very much feels like that's where Jarry's at with this team.
Yeah, you wonder, you want NHL players to, speak their truth more often, to give more personality in the dressing room, not be so careful and calculated. But then Jarry does and calls out the defense early in his tenure here. Yeah. And I think that had a much bigger ripple effect because, like you said, the guys will go out after a stinker for Pickard and try to win one for him. I don't know if those guys have that same vibe for Jarry. They're not going out there and trying to win it for him, at least.
There have been difficult, like, make no mistake, like, I think Dominik Hasek is the best goaltender of all time. Okay? Full stop. I think he's the best. We can quibble about, Marty and Patrick, etc. Jacques Plante, I think, is in that conversation too. But for me, Dominik Hasek was the best goalie ever. There's no one that's going to tell you he was an easy teammate. You're not going to find any of them. But what did Dominik Hasek do? Dominik Hasek turned bad teams really good and got bad teams to the Stanley Cup final and almost won the Stanley Cup. Like what he did for the Buffalo Sabres, for example, was nothing short of a miracle. He took a very, very average goaltender, a foot in the crease away from winning the Stanley Cup. Like I've never seen a goaltender have that kind of effect on a team the way that we saw with Dominik Hasek. But make no mistake about it, Dominik Hasek was not an easy teammate. But that's fine as long as you're winning, right? It's like the old about Scotty Bowman. 364 days of the year, all the guys hated Scotty Bowman. And then on day 365, they got their rings. As long as you're winning, it's okay. But it all gets compounded when the new guy comes in and starts pointing fingers at guys that have been there a long time and have been through a lot of battles and a lot of wars and a lot of heartache and a lot of scars and a lot of sorrow. And you're the guy that's been here for 5 minutes. Again, that's why I go back to it. Hasn't bought himself a lot of grace with this team right now. But I don't think that right now you say he's done and unsalvageable. But man, you got a doomsday clock on you, kid. Like, does it not feel like there's a doomsday clock on Tristan Jarry right now?
Yeah, and
there is.
The hope was, again, that game against Colorado was going to spark him a little bit, right? And just kind of reset him because he got thrown right into the fire. And then for last night to be as disappointing as it was, I think it takes a lot of wind out of the sails of this team. Yeah. And what's interesting is, I'm sure there is a part of this organization, Jeff, that would love to just point to Jarry and say, you are getting the next 3 starts no matter what. You're our guy. Figure it out. But when you look at the standings, they just don't have the ability to do that. They're close to winning the division potentially, but they're just as close to being out of the playoffs.
A horrible spot to be. Just terrible. You have, the way that I look at it right now with the Oilers, I'm glad you framed it that particular way, Tyler, because it almost seems as if right now the Oilers have just been given enough rope to either swing or hang. Yeah. Take your pick. It's gonna be one or the other because the rope is right there. Are you gonna swing or are you gonna hang? choice is yours, and that's why, right? You can't just say, hey, this is your set of games to run with, because right now you're just going game to game to game. We need to do whatever we need to do in order to win one of these things, and there's no margin for error right now. As weird as that is to say on March 13th about the Edmonton Oilers, there's no margin of error. You can't afford it.
I guess last one for you, and then we'll let you go. Really want to get your take on the Radko Gudas hit. He is running roughshod, not just NHL, international hockey. Obviously, the Crosby incident still fresh in people's brains. Two-parter, though, like how hard are they going to throw the book? I can't believe they didn't give him an in-person one, honestly, considering his rap sheet. But what's your best guess, I suppose? And then what did you make of the non-response from the Leafs?
The second part is more interesting. The first part's going to be boring. I think that this one, honestly, and fans don't want to hear this, but the NHL Department of Player Safety makes a sharp distinction based on when did an event happen. And if it happened between the whistles, it doesn't get dealt with as hard as something that happens after a whistle. They still look at whistle to whistle as part of the play, even though it's egregious and dangerous, all that. They still look at it as it still falls under the umbrella of the hockey game. They take particular exception, and that's why we saw, was it 5 games for Morgan Riley for the cross-check on Grigg with the Ottawa Senators. That's why they looked at that one even more severely, because the play was over. This one, they're going to make the argument that it was part of the flow of play. Still dirty. I looked at that and I initially thought, like, and again, it's Gudas. So first of all, you have to establish that an infraction occurred that is suspendable, and then the backstory comes into it, and then the person's history comes into it. And in this situation, and considering it's Radko Gudas, I thought that this one, was looking like a 5-gamer going away for Radko Gudas. But it sounds like, well, obviously it is. It's not an in-person hearing, so it's not going to be the 5+. As for the non-response, I put this out on Twitter last night. It's a saying from Edward's father, who is one of the most brilliant people when it comes to hockey. Stewie's father is a big Montreal Canadiens fan, and he helped raise Anthony and Chris, and they didn't have much. And Anthony used to tell me, like, his dad didn't let him take slap shots with the one hockey stick that he had because he didn't want it to break, because he couldn't afford to buy Stewie another hockey stick. So Stewie grew up like not taking slap shots. This guy made it to the NHL. And his dad would always ask about any team that Stewie was playing on, or any team in the NHL. Are you a team or are you a club? There's a big difference. And we all know, we've all seen clubs, right? Like, that's not a team. That's like 23 guys and 23 Ubers. That's what that is. That's not a team. That's a club. And I think about a team like the Buffalo Sabres. I remember Nason caught Tage Thompson, and everybody on the ice cut their laces, and nobody did a thing about it. That was a club. You look at Sunday, Buffalo against the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's a team. You look at Tuesday against the San Jose Sharks. Like, that's a team. You look at what you saw last night with the Toronto Maple Leafs, after their captain, their star player, gets trucked by someone that didn't do it accidentally, and you're standing around doing statue practice. You're standing around doing elevator practice while this guy's writhing in pain on the ice. Try to convince me that's a team.
I think that is very well put, the club versus team thing. Jeff, I know you got to run, but we appreciate you finding some time for us today, giving us some insight. Enjoy your weekend.
Tyler, always good. Ryder, nice to meet you. Great hat.
Nice to meet you.
There you go. Jeff Marek from The Sheet, DFO Rundown, Hockey Lifers. He's everywhere on not just the Daily Face-Off YouTube, but around the hockey world. That's an interesting point to end on with Jeff, the club team thing. What we saw last night with the whole antics with Justin Hirokin, Connor McDavid at the end of the first period, I would say that was the end of the second period. That was the closest, and Aaron, you obviously, we all watch Connor McDavid closely. We've seen 99% of his games. That might be the closest I've ever seen Connor McDavid to actually taking his gloves off and fighting someone.
He don't do that.
No.
He was fired up, and once again, you're playing for pride at the end of that hockey game, and Trent Frederick showed a little bit of jam. However, the image of Stars players laughing in his face as he's getting escorted off the ice at the end, didn't like that. But Connor was pissed, man. Like I said on last night's postgame, I went through the good, bad, and oily in those few seconds. Good, somebody's actually standing up to do something. Bad, holy shit, it's 97. Don't do that. Keep your gloves on. Oily. That was badass, man. He was bleeding his own blood a little bit. Here, actually, why don't we just get a quick look at it while we do this? But there was some, because obviously the puck got fired at Leon. I think that was totally unintentional, but it's on the moment you do that.
Oh, yeah. And, I'll push back a little bit on the unintentional part because...
You do think intentional?
Maybe not intentional to hit him, but every hockey player knows how much time is left on the clock. He knows there's at least less than 3 seconds left there. You pin it to the boards. You don't shoot it down. That's a little bit showing up your opponent's the wrong thing to do, but that's trying to throw a little exclamation point on a dominant period by rifling the puck past him and back down the ice. So again, Connor McDavid, he got his eye clawed at a little bit there too. And Herkoian, you love him if he's on your team, but the image of him standing with his stick pointing at the Oilers bench, and you can tell Connor's laughing at him, being like, who do you think you are, man?
That was ridiculous.
Pods chased him down afterwards.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Giving him the gears.
It would be awesome, which I think this is going to be what shakes down, if the Oilers get hot here and go on a nice little run, and McDavid has a black eye for the majority of it. I just think that's a good look. I think you can look at him and rally around that. It might have an effect just on his face for the next week and a half, which anything helps.
Well, if you remember, this was... Okay, Puljujarvi was still on the team, so I think it would have been 23, 24. Yeah, I think so. I think it was the year they acquired Ekholm. There was a game in early January as they were kind of spiraling again against the LA Kings. And I think they fought 3 times. And I think it's Zach Hyman's only fighting major of his Oilers tenure. And I remember it because he was sitting at the face-off, and whoever the D-man was on LA, I think it was a former Leaf too. They might have been teammates. But Hyman looked at the guy who was yapping at him, and then you could tell he looked at McDavid and he mouthed something like, I'm going to go him here. And then Hyman fought. Puljujarvi fought that game. They had 3 or 4 fighting majors in that hockey game. And the Oilers from that point on, to Jeff's point of, are you a club or a team? As much as in Toronto, maybe it's ingrained in their culture that it's country club lifestyle and it's every guy comes and goes, and however the results fall, who gives a shit? We're all going back to our high rises after this. I think you can change that mindset even throughout the course of a season. There can be moments that bring you together. Maybe last night, if you're on that Oilers bench and you're like, damn, Connor and Leon, they had to review Leon for a major penalty on that one, which was the dumbest fucking thing ever because it wasn't even close to a major. But if you're sitting on that bench, if you go back into the locker room, Connor and Leon were laughing to each other in the penalty box. Maybe this brings something out of this group that we haven't seen quite yet, to see your captain and to see Leon have that level of fight and frustration.
Well, and you even look at the old leg tap that they did in Carolina a couple years ago, and that was a turning point of that season. I don't know, is them sitting in the penalty box together the turning point? All of these things seem awesome. I'm also a believer that the first time the snow falls in Edmonton, as I've said before on the show, is when the Oilers actually start their season.
Yeah.
So it's these little things that just, all right, now we're going. I remember a couple years ago, Leon said, yeah, we lose once in a while. We don't lose twice in a row, though. And that's one of my favorite quotes ever. This season, we've lost 2 in a row a lot, but
lots in a row, yeah.
It just that confidence when you see those 2 in the penalty box together. I think they're about to take off. Yeah, it was a rough one last night. Like you said, if we win 3 out of 4 on this road trip, nobody's even thinking about it until we see Dallas in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they've got to get through some teams before we'd see them in the playoffs.
Well, and that's kind of sparked a little bit of a debate online once again. And I roll my eyes when we do this because we have to do it every year because one division gets way better than the other division. And then we do all the playoff systems broken because one of Dallas or Colorado are going to have to play each other in round 2. And, Dallas and Minnesota are going to be a round 1 matchup. But if you would have sorted the points by the actual conference, it would be, they're the 2 and 3 seeds. So Dallas, if the playoffs were the old 1 through 8 format, and granted, division winners always throw this stuff off too, but it would be Dallas Edmonton round 1 instead of Dallas Minnesota. If that was the case, would we not be sitting here being like, ugh, why does Dallas have to go play Edmonton in round 1? Why is that their reward for coming second in the conference? My take on the playoff thing is that, yes, there are going to be some years where it sucks to be in the Atlantic or in the Central. There's going to be some years, and it's probably coming soon with the way San Jose and Anaheim look, where it's going to suck to be in the Pacific. It's the natural cycle of things, and I cannot stand, and I wouldn't do this if it was the Oilers, I cannot stand when fan bases bitch and go, oh, our first round matchup's hard. It's the playoffs. It's supposed to. You have to beat good teams to win the Stanley Cup.
Especially with 32 teams in the league. Like, that is how you've cut half the fat off. There's going to be...
With parity being where it's at, like...
Yeah. And also, why are we so upset that there's going to be an unreal second-round matchup in the Central? I'm excited to watch that series. Like...
Also, the first round of the NHL playoffs is the most electric 2 weeks in the sports calendar. Give me more of that. He also fought Sean Dursey. I went to hockeyfights.com. That's who Zach Hyman fought.
Yeah, that's who it was. And I think he was a Leaf before. No.
This is his only fight as an Oiler.
Yeah, but there is like a reverse angle there where he like looks at Leon and says like, I'm going to go him.
Yeah, right
and they drop the gloves and go. And again, Edmonton was getting their ass kicked, very similar to the way they were in Dallas last night. And I'm sure they weren't getting saves or anything like that. But they showed some fight. And from like, what was the day on this one, Aaron?
It was...
Does it say it in Hockey Fights?
Here, January 9th, 2023.
Okay, so January 9th, 2023.
Shout out hockeyfights.com for all your fighting resources.
So from that point on, they lose that game. They go on to win 6 in a row and pick up points in 8, 9, 10, 11 straight hockey games.
Hell yeah.
A little run like that.
Now we go. Yeah, exactly.
But again, obviously no fights last night, but I think everyone who watched it would know that it was heated. Yeah.
Do you think, I don't want to go back to the Jarry thing, but I know it's a heavy topic of conversation around here. Do you think the most disappointing thing with his performance is that we've extended the pain for another year because his contract was longer than Skinner's? Like where we could have actually, 2 years.
2 more years, yep.
We could have actually had a fresh start opportunity this offseason and tried something entirely new in net where we instead extended the pain. Like that to me is the worst part of that deal by Bowman.
I like that the general mood around Stu has kind of flipped a bit, but when you think $2.6 million for what they were getting, feel pretty good about that in comparison to 5 point whatever for...
Yeah.
You know how you describe what.
And look at everything else they had to do to fit Jarry in, right? You had to get rid of Kulak, and that's a guy who would have, even if you didn't think he was part of the future here, he was either a positive player in the meantime, or you were using him as a positive asset closer to the deadline to accumulate picks. Like this goes like, and this, I am not doing the hindsight thing. People who watch this show know that. I said the moment the trade was made, I said, if you believe Tristan Jarry has a higher floor or a higher ceiling than Stuart Skinner, or if you believe that just the change of scenery is going to benefit him, then you make this trade. And if you're Stan Bowman, you go with your gut. And I guess that's why he became a GM in the NHL, because he knows when to trust his gut. But I said it's a massive risk. And you basically had his contract's up 2 years after this. So was Connor McDavid's. You had one goalie bullet to fire, and you fired it on Tristan Jarry, who was on waivers however many months before. I know that's been well documented, all of that stuff. He was on waivers 8 months before and then came back and started to have a really good year. There's 2 ways you can view that when you're acquiring a player. You can sit there and say, I'm acquiring this guy because the struggles last year are behind him. He's a new goalie. There's a new coach. He's refreshed. He's back to the old Tristan Jarry. Or you can sit there, and hindsight is proving that this is the way it should have been viewed. You're acquiring a player at the peak of his value while trading 2 of your guys who are at the bottom of their value.
Yeah.
That's bad GM
well,
work.
And like Kulak's good enough to be on Colorado. He should be good enough to be on the Oilers this year.
Also, look at the current state of the left side of the Oilers defense.
Yeah.
Not great.
I would rather have Brett Kulak than Jake Wallman right now.
I know he was bad earlier this season, but like everybody looked him in the eyes and truth serum. We all believe Brett Kulak could turn it around or be a positive asset, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, looking back at the worst trades in Oilers history, we don't know about this one yet, but it's not looking good. It's going to be in the conversation if it keeps going down the road it is. You look at the Griffin Reinhart deal. Can we stop getting guys that we fell in love with that played for the Oil Kings? Like, is that part of that the organization is so tightly intertwined with the Oil Kings that they're like, no, trust me. We saw this guy so much. He's so good.
I think they definitely leaned a little bit on he's comfortable in the market.
Right.
Because he still comes back and lives here. And we talked about that at the time of the deal too. It was like, hey, if you want it, and we did the positives and negatives, but one of the positives was like, he should be comfortable here. He should want to be in Edmonton. He should take pride in being an Oiler because he loves the city. He does his off-season training here, all of this kind of stuff. The other very funny thing that the general public of Oilers fans hasn't quite picked up on is that he came up through that Oil King system at a time when Dustin Schwartz would have been his goalie coach, I believe. No one's quite figured that out yet, that it's a Dustin Schwartz prodigy that we got between the pipes and Jarry. But when they do, when the Facebook commenters piece that one together, fucking look out. But yeah, they're in a lot of trouble here with the goaltending. That goes without saying. Jarry has a 12-team no-trade list this summer, and part of my beef with it, and part of the reason why I said, hey, maybe you just keep your powder dry with the goaltending for a little bit. One, you had Ingram sitting in the minors. Why would you not fire the free bullet first before firing one that you had to pay a ton for and that came with significant risk? If you would have called up Ingram and ran Ingram Skinner for a month before you do this Jarry trade, one, do you really think a month later Tristan Jarry would have been untradeable in Pittsburgh's eyes? Not a shot. They wanted out of that contract for over a calendar year. There's no way he would have been unavailable. If anything, you might have gotten him cheaper. Time has shown you would have gotten him cheaper. But if you would have brought up Connor Ingram, ran Ingram and Skinner for a month and said, you know what? We're not out of the playoffs yet. We're not totally screwed. Skinner was starting to play well. That's another part of this. Like, I don't think Stuart Skinner was going to keep that hot streak going for the whole season. We've known from years and years of watching Stuart Skinner, that's not how he operates. You could have gone with Ingram and Skinner and said, you know what, let's buy ourselves, let's go till Christmas. But you didn't want to. Part of it is the friendship to Calvin Pickard.
Yeah. You wonder how much that is part of it, hey?
And maybe this is on the leadership group. Maybe this is a good reason why you don't listen to the leadership group when you're making tough decisions as a GM. But like at every turn, this goaltending debacle is bad general manager work. That's all it is. Even throwing in Kulak and not shopping him somewhere else as a cap dump, bad, lazy GM work.
The frustrating thing for me that I just want to say is like we sat there and we're like, man, what a smart move from Stan Bowman. That's such an insurance policy, an emergency bullet to fire off if you need it. Great stuff. And then he just didn't use it. He just didn't fire the bullet. Like, there was good work in that to acquire him. Mm-hmm. And then just the timing made it all for nothing. I mean, once again, he's still on the team, and he's our de facto number one. But that's what makes it so extra frustrating for me.
Yeah, I'm a wildly optimistic sports fan. Hear this takeout that maybe we're in okay shape goalie-wise. Because Ingram has looked like a capable starter for stretches. And Jarry has looked decent when he's not in his head and he just gets called into a game. So let's say we go into playoffs with Ingram as our starter. It's game 3. He lets in 4 goals. We throw Jarry in because he doesn't have time to get all twisted up. He does what we need him to do. I don't know. Is that not something that he could just be a good backup who can come in and play decent when called upon?
All right. So this shows how hurt you are as an Oilers fan. You just said, I'm really optimistic, so let me spin an optimistic scenario where we have to pull our goalie once again in the playoff series.
It happens.
Last night, I said, if we thought of the opener theory in baseball, that we get someone to open the game up for Tristan Jarry.
Yeah.
You know,
don't tell him he's starting.
Don't tell him, and then you throw him in the second period, which you know we're down bad when we're doing stuff like that. So.
Yeah, we got a closer.
They were supposed to fix the goaltending, and they paid asset. Like, again, if they would have gotten Jarry for free or Jarry at 50% retained, like, they paid for him at the peak of his value. And, like, that's inexcusably bad. And I have defended Bowman a lot over the last 18 months. I love the Podkolzin deal. We all love the Podkolzin deal. I loved the Emberson deal at the time. I still love it now. I felt like that was really good GM work. Going to St. Louis when, again, he was put in a corner with those offer sheets, but he went back to him and said, I want another 3rd-round pick. I want Paul Fisher, or I'm matching on Dylan Holloway and I'm doing other shit. And he made St. Louis pay a little bit more on top of that. You could call it pity, sure, whatever, but like, Dickinson scored last night. He continues to look impressive. Connor Murphy has been pretty good. Well worth a 2nd-round pick. Like,
and look at what Savoy's starting to look like too. Like that could go down as his golden goose.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Savoy's look good. And even, again, the Ingram thing. He's come in and had an .892 in 19 games. There's been some struggles. the team in front of him has also not been good, but in his last 3 starts, I know the Colorado one was shortened, but still 2 goals on 18 shots there. Against Vegas, 2 goals on 26 shots. That's great. And then Ottawa, San Jose, again, garbage in front of him. But even that big win against LA, I know they scored 8 goals, but he stopped 21 to 22. Like, Ingram was a good Bowman move.
Yep.
And you're right. It's just so perplexing why he didn't want to see that through, and why maybe there's some sort of internal thing there that we don't know about. Maybe it's as simple as like he knew he couldn't send down Pickard, but at the same time, they ran with 3 goalies for a while with Ingram and Jarry. They very easily could have done it with Ingram, Stu, and Pickard. Maybe there's some sort of internal thing that forced him to want to or have to do that trade when he did. But it just makes such little sense to have that Ingram bullet waiting there and not want to fire it.
When I first heard of the trade, I just knew that Stu was going to Pittsburgh. Oh, no, sorry. I heard that Jarry was coming here. And I was like, all right, Jarry, Skinner. Like, that's a tandem I could get down with, potentially. One of them could get hot for a good stretch. Yeah. And then when I found out what he gave up, I was like, oh, God. We found out live on the air. We had just started our show, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be positive right now, but I'm not sure I love this.
Ty, I might go back and peruse through that episode and see what our exact... Because it was bright and early in the morning, and quite consistently, Ty at the very beginning was, uh-oh.
Yeah, that did feel like an uh-oh. Anyway, let's get off of that.
Yeah, I think we're kind of good on the goaltending front. Again, last night didn't go the Oilers' way, but of course they can still find a way to turn things around here. So still plenty of space for that. Today, not only a game recap today, today's also a game day edition of the show. They're right back at it, which is maybe good. A chance to just flush up a game day editions of the show are brought to you by Capital GMC Buick. Check out their extensive inventory of top quality vehicles like the 2026 GMC Terrain Denali or the 2026 Sierra Denali Ultimate. Did you know Capital GMC Buick is committed to the community, raising over $30,000 last year for the Stollery Children's Hospital? Check out the dealership, 9751 34th Ave Northwest, or online at capitalgmcbuick.ca. Look at those beautiful GMCs at the bottom of your screen. Hello. Edmonton taking on a team tonight in St. Louis who struggled for most of the year, sold at the deadline, and then immediately started playing better hockey. They haven't lost in regulation since the deadline. They're 3-0-1 in that stretch. So weirdly enough, they're starting to play pretty competitive hockey, but on the year as a whole, they've struggled. 26-39 straight up is their record when you remove loser points. Their minus 45 goal differential is second worst in the entire Western Conference. It's worse than Chicago. It's worse than Calgary. Only Vancouver is ranked lower than them. They have not been a good home team this year. They're 14-19 on home ice. The one thing that has turned around, weirdly enough for them, they've started to get saves and they've started to win. Kind of funny how that works. Joel Hofer has a 905 on the year. Binnington has an 872, but Hofer's on fire. He's been a 939 save percentage or better in 5 straight games. His numbers are skyrocketing. Binnington has allowed 2 goals or less in 3 straight games. So St. Louis, bad goaltending early. They're starting to figure it out a little bit, and this isn't going to be like a walk in the park against a team that's punted on their year. They kept a lot of good players, and they're still playing well.
I'd be a lot more worried if we were heading into St. Louis and they hadn't played last night in Carolina. Like, both teams had to travel, so it doesn't really feel like a back-to-back is that big of a deal. So that's nice at least, because I think us versus them, there's a very good chance we come out on top. But if you add in that maybe they've been sleeping well in their own beds and we had to roll in there, I feel like that's a bit different. Yep. So that thankfully they were on the move last night as well. I got to think that the way we finished that game with McDavid stepping up, throwing some punches, especially like, is he not rumored to have issues with one of his hands?
Maybe.
So like maybe that's why he kept the gloves on. He looked like he wanted to throw them off, but for him to put his body on the line, I just don't think there's any way that the Oilers don't at least play a great game tonight. And that should be enough to beat a St. Louis, I would think. I
was really, really hoping, I'm doing some counting live right now. you said the point about back-to-backs, and I was like, yeah, St. Louis sucks this year. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go count up how they've done in back-to-back games this year, and I'm going to tell everyone, like, yeah, look how bad St. Louis is in back-to-backs.
No.
They're 7-3-1 on the second half of back-to-backs somehow this year. And like a week ago, they had to travel for back-to-backs, and they beat Minnesota. Damn it.
Well, never mind about all that stuff I just said.
But like the point is well taken. It's just like, shit. I mean, that is another, like, maybe as time has started to go on in like hockey and in sports, like we were earlier in the week, Gregor asked me, he's like, this is before the Ingram concussion thing kind of threw it all for a loop. But he was like, would you play Ingram back-to-back games this week? Like, play them both. No, sorry. He was asking me, would you play Jarry both if Ingram was unavailable? That's what he was asking me. And I kind of said, like, you know, these guys are professional athletes. It's not like they're going and working a 9 to 5 and then like jumping out to the rink and like playing on back-to-back nights is going to wear them down. Like, they fly private, obviously. They all get their own hotel rooms now. Like, I don't think roommates is a thing anymore in the NHL. They're kind of, as much as again, sleeping in a hotel is not sleeping in your own bed. I'd be curious to actually do like a big deep dive in this. Have records on back-to-backs gotten better over the last 10 to 15 years as like sports science and all of that has started to improve?
Yeah, I would imagine so. You would think that the mental drain of coming off a big loss like that would be more so than the physical demands of playing back-to-back games. If it was like, if Ingram didn't look ready to go. I sure hope he does. The way when Buddy was pointing his stick at him, Yarukin, is that
Hercoian?
Yeah.
Ritz Carlton.
It sounds like the Street Fighter move. Anyway, when he was pointing his stick at him, and Ingram had this smirk of confidence that I loved. I was like, get that man in tomorrow night for sure. So hopefully that head of his heals up great.
Yeah, they were talking on the broadcast yesterday. They had to glue it up. One thing to keep in mind for the St. Louis Blues, they have a top line that is absolutely red hot right now. Robert Thomas, Jimmy Snuggerud, and our old friend Dylan Holloway. In their last 10 games, 6 goals for Robert Thomas, 6 goals for Jimmy Snuggerud, 5 goals for Dylan Holloway. In their last 10 games, that line is averaging closer to 2 goals a game than 1 goal a game. And averaging 1 goal a game would be good. So that trio is humming right now. Dvorsky, Neighbors, Kyrou, that's a good second line that they got going. Their third line, Suter was a guy they looked at selling at the deadline. They held on to him. Him, Buchnevich, Otto Stenberg. Otto Stenberg is one of the more exciting young players in their system as well. Like they have still, even with no Braden Shen, they have a pretty deep forward group. On the blue line, that is maybe where you can take advantage of this team a little bit tonight. Logan Mailloux has been statistically, analytically one of the worst defensemen in the NHL this year. They have him playing on the top pair with Broberg, basically. They traded Justin Falk to Detroit at the deadline last Friday, and they've been trying now. They're using it as an opportunity to do a sink or swim with Logan Mailloux, and they're just like, screw it, we're going to play him a ton and see if he can figure it out. That is an area where I think the Oilers can maybe exploit the Blues a little bit here. Linston and Parayko, again, limited. Fowler, Tucker, fine-ish. But this Blues team, even though they've been rattling off some wins as of late, it's been goaltending that's kind of been fueling it more so than their overall defensive structure. So if the Oilers can generate tonight, they're going to find ways to win. And I'd even go as far to say, considering Vegas won on the out-of-town scoreboard last night, Anaheim lost as well, I'm going to label tonight a good old must-win hockey game. Dig deep. If you want to be a contender, you beat the Blues.
It's crazy when you look at that Blues lineup right now. How bad would they have been if they wouldn't have done those offer sheets? Like, you've got top left defenseman and top left wing who's killing it right now. Like that lineup would look a whole bunch worse if they didn't do that. So I guess there was at least the necessity. We know that now.
Yeah. Natural stat trick's down, so I can't pull up the exact numbers for this. Were you trying to get on there too?
Yeah, I can't get it going all day.
Yeah. But anyways, I wanted to look last night at the exact numbers, but we talked about this with Landon Ferrari yesterday on the show, which everyone who liked him in the chat, he's a regular now going forward. We got him locked in for a weekly hit on the show because he was great. And also, Landon Ferraro, you close your eyes, he just sounds exactly like his dad.
It is strange with genetics, even with voices.
Yeah.
My dad's voice now is like super like, hey, man. I'm really worried about that with the career I've chosen. Hopefully mine doesn't sound exactly like him in 30 years.
But like we talked about, how long of a leash do you give the Murphy-Wallman pairing, which is not even a comment on Murphy. He's been fine. Jake Wallman's just continuing to be absolutely putrid for this team. Like when you do the linear comparison of like, is this year's Oilers team better than the one we had 12 months ago? A big part of that calculation is Jake Wallman went from like, holy shit, he's Bouchard light. He's zipping pucks up the ice. He's helping this team play up pace, up tempo, dynamic. And this year, you want to talk about Jarry being borderline unplayable. Jake Wallman's borderline unplayable right now. He's been brutal for a month. He's down on the third pair with Stasny. They were not good last night. But I'm curious to see what they do with the deep pairings tonight against St. Louis. Because, again, I think Wallman's in kind of that category where, like, if you want this team to eventually reach the peak of their potential, you need Wallman to be what Wallman was last year.
And Nurse.
Like
his year last year, I was like, oh, we can roll with this. If this is like the new Nurse, and then he just took a step right back to where he was this year.
Like, people kind of forget they made it to the Cup final last year sans Ekholm. They did that because
valid point.
Evan Bouchard magically learned how to penalty kill on the fly, which is just an unbelievable compliment to him. But like Kulak was good, but Evan Bouchard like hauled and carried a top pairing, and Jake Wallman made Darnell Nurse serviceable. Again, wild compliment to the guy. This year, Jake Wallman is unplayable himself. Nurse is Nurse. You have this new guy in Murphy who is playing good and is showing signs that he can help and be an improvement and fix a hole that you had, but you do not have a competent piece to play him with. That's going to have to
Which
turn
is
around.
insane when you look at how much we're spending on those guys that should be playing with him. Like, they should be the better player on that line.
Yep. Next year, the Edmonton Oilers have 19, 26, 30, $31.55 million committed to their blue line already. And we're sitting there going, two of them are unplayable.
What was the Athletic doing at the start of the year? Didn't they say that Edmonton had the best defense in the NHL going into this season? That was their prediction?
Because
like, that guy should actually maybe lose his job who said that.
That's because Jake Wallman was an analytical darling. No, Dom, we're cool with Dom. We're cool with Dom.
You know who wrote it. My bad.
It should be good.
It should be good, yeah. I thought they were going to be a lot better. If they played up to their potential, they would be in the top tier for sure.
You look at this group on paper, and it's like, yep, that is 6 competent NHL defensemen.
5 names. Like I would say, besides Stats, those are 5 well-known names.
And you look at where they're slotted, it's like, oh, man, yeah, they'll get something out of Nurse when they just play him, 14 minutes a night. And, oh, yeah, Wallman, he struggled, but, hey, Murphy's going to settle him down. And, no, Wallman's still skating around like his head's on fire. Murphy's struggling because, again, everyone he plays with is terrible. Nurse, I don't even know where to go with Nurse. Top pairing's been good, but last night they were -3. But again, I have no concerns about the top pairing finding a way to bounce back tonight. So again, Blues, Hofer, Binnington. I guess the Oilers. Again, maybe we view this as a break. I'm assuming they started. I totally forgot. That was a good call by you that they played last night. Did they go with Hofer in that hockey game? Oh, they went. Yeah, okay. So shitty break for the Oilers that they're getting Joel Hofer in this one because again, he has picked up points in 5 straight starts, and his save percentages in those games, .958, .957, .944, 22 save shutout, and then on March 10th against the Islanders, he stopped 45 of 49 in an overtime loss.
I guess there is something good about that.
He's due?
He's a 25-year-old goaltender who is killing it, and he's Canadian. We need one of those moving forward.
We talked about that earlier on this year when everyone was like, oh, Binnington's a lock for the Olympic team. And it's like, he's not even the best Canadian goalie on his team.
On that team, yeah.
Granted, Binnington played good.
So I hope Joel gets lit up tonight. But then I hope he continues to have
a strong career.
Leading into 2030.
If you want a little bit of a reason to be optimistic, I rattled off those 5 games that were unbelievable. Before that, I see someone says, only been 5 games, ? The 3 games before this 5-game heater, 6 goals against, 4 goals on 20 shots, 4 goals on 28 shots. He's been a little Jekyll and Hyde this season as well. So hopefully the Oilers get from their perspective, a good part of that Joel Hofer roller coaster tonight. Aaron, who you got on pre and post with you this evening?
Michael Menzies.
With that, I saw his big ass laptop downstairs.
The BBL, it's humming away. It's got 2 power grids being used to power it. But last night on After Dark, we got cut off a little bit, so we didn't get to play any voicemails from the folks. There was a lot of assassination voicemails, Tyler, that I didn't get to unpack, so I'm curious. I'm pretty sure Menzies left some as well. We're going to bring back the positivity again tonight. Also, Nation Night Out at Dogpatch, which is sold out, but should have some good stuff on socials. Should be a good night. Friday Night Puck. Let's go.
Yeah.
I just had Menzies on talking movies with us this morning. We did like a Oscars, the Sauce Oscar show is what we called it. That guy is an encyclopedia of information like no one I've ever met before.
And about everything.
Well, that's what I thought he was coming in to talk about the game because we had Eli ready to rip as our movie buff. And Menzies comes in and starts firing off like what won Best Picture in 1977 and how it compares to just where did you grow up? What is
Dude, he's younger than me.
Yeah.
He's such an old soul.
You guys are really good together. There's been a couple After Darks that I've meant to go to bed, and I end up staying up and laughing my ass off like I'm in the room with you. So
win, lose, or draw, we're having a good time.
Yeah.
We're having a good time.
I also blew your mind with this. I only watched one movie this year.
Yeah, I thought when you originally said you only watched one movie this year, you meant from like the movies that were nominated for Best Picture.
I watched 2.
Wow, congratulations.
Whoa, 2X? What'd you get?
I watched Roof Man with Channing Tatum.
Oh, I didn't even heard of Roof Man.
It's the story about the guy based on a true story, and I Googled it after. Stunning how much of the movie was not exaggerated. He broke out of jail in like the early 2000s, and then to hide, he lived behind the bike display of a Toys R Us for like 3 months. And then got so brave that he like went out into the community and like started dating a lady, and then they caught him.
So you're a huge Channing Tatum fan. That's why you watched that. You were really big into Magic Mike, you were saying, right?
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. And then the only other movie I watched for my niece's birthday, she asked to go to the movies, so we saw the SpongeBob movie with her. And those are the only 2. Also, SpongeBob movie wasn't good. Will not win an Oscar. I'm pretty confident in that.
There were some terrific movies this year.
Yeah?
We broke them all down. We did there was an hour and a half full of just movie chat. So if you want to get fired up for the Academy Awards on Sunday, check out the sauce from this morning.
Sinners, was that a good one?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
There were
And
3
so
movies that were 10
rewatchable,
out of
too.
10s. Like One Battle After Another, put it on the list. And Hamnet, which is the story of William Shakespeare, was incredible. Yeah, Hamnet.
I was so confused about it too.
It was his son's name, and then he wrote Hamlet in kind of honor of his son Hamnet, who he lost.
Paul Mescal's, he's on the up, or he's been on the up. He's up already,
yeah, because he's playing Paul McCartney coming up. Yeah, he's that movie is incredible. So there you go.
Bankroll will have some Academy Award picks on Sunday.
We've got a Sauce Oscar pool happening. Okay. We've got the link ready to roll for that. It's free to enter. We got prize pack from Oodle Noodle, from Dog Patch, Sauce merchandise, Oilers Nation merchandise, and it's free to enter. So
I'm putting it in the chat right now.
Put it in the YouTube chat. Let people make their picks. I will not be playing because was Marty Supreme good?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, a lot of people really liked it. I found flaws in it that I couldn't really get over. I didn't think it would be even in the conversation for Best Picture if it wasn't for Timothée Chalamet's unbelievable acting performance.
It was the best ping pong movie I've seen since Forrest Gump, so I will say that.
Well,
I don't know if there's any other ping pong movies, but
it felt like if it would have been a different sport, but ping pong is kind of like not that exciting to watch. So the intense moments weren't like Rocky, where you're watching a boxing match being like, what's going to happen? It's just this. I'm incredibly talented to be an elite ping pong player, obviously. Fun to play, but not that great to watch. Anyway, it was good.
It was good.
Yeah.
Was Kevin O'Leary in that or something?
Kevin O'Leary pretty much played himself in that movie, yeah.
A bit of a dweeb, isn't he? All right. I know we had some other stuff, but we're going to wrap up the show early today, so maybe we'll save that other thing for next Friday, because that's a timely Friday Fun Zone thing we can do with Ryder.
Good fun zone.
Yeah. But anyways, we'll wrap up the show with a little bit of What's Trending, which is a presentation of GMC. Truck Month is on now at GMC. If you want something reliable, tough, and ready for whatever the schedule throws at you, the 2026 Sierra 1500 Pro Graphite Crew Cab is that in a nutshell, and it can be yours for 0% financing for 72 months with a factory 2-inch lift, off-road suspension, and a 5.3-liter V8 engine. This is one ready for anything truck. Don't miss out. Go to your local GMC dealer and take advantage of Truck Month before it ends. Out of town scoreboard watch this weekend, which is all of a sudden a big thing for Oilers fans. Like
Totally.
A loss for the Golden Knights is just as valuable as a win for the Oilers. A loss for the Ducks is just as valuable as a win for the Oilers in some ways.
Yeah, the best nights possible are when the Oilers win and the other two lose.
Yeah.
Those feel real good.
So tonight, there's only one other game on the schedule. LA is actually in New York to take on, or out on Long Island to take on the Islanders. So that's one where you're rooting for the Islanders. The Ducks have a back-to-back this weekend. They're going to go to Ottawa tomorrow and then Montreal on Saturday. San Jose has the reverse. They are going Montreal on Saturday, then Ottawa on Sunday. So both San Jose and Anaheim are playing in back-to-backs. Anaheim 3 points ahead of the Oilers. San Jose 4 points back, but they have 3 games in hand. So that could be a little bit dicey here for the Oil. Utah hosts Pittsburgh on Saturday night. That's another one you'll want to watch. The Kraken are in Vancouver, and the Golden Knights host the Blackhawks on Saturday. And then on Sunday, Edmonton's back at home against the Nashville Predators. Seattle's hosting Florida. That's one that, like, when you look at the strength of schedule stuff, they have that as an easy matchup for Seattle. I do not think Seattle's going to have an easy time with the Florida Panthers, who, like, look at that record. Florida, for as flawed as they've been this year, they've still won more games than they've lost. Their true record is actually decent. Yeah, you're really rooting for Montreal this weekend. It's a tough weekend for actually both Ottawa and San Jose, considering they're out on the east, or out in the Eastern Canada, and they're playing two teams that are both good home teams and are both also very desperate. Like, if Ottawa lets both these games drop, their playoff chances are shot.
Yeah.
So we're rooting for our Canadian friends out east this weekend.
I was just looking into it before the show started about it feels like it's been a while since there's only really likely 2 Canadian teams in the playoffs, because Montreal looks like they're going to make it if everything stays as it's going.
Yeah.
And the Oilers will very likely sneak in my opinion. So I looked back in 2016. Do you remember how many Canadian teams were in the playoffs?
So, like, the 2015-16 season?
Yeah.
Maybe just Calgary?
0.
Whoa.
I don't ever remember that being a thing. I don't know why, but no Canadian teams made the playoffs that year. So it's usually about 3 or 4 are in, so it's not that strange that we'd only have 2. But yeah, 10 years ago this year is the anniversary of 0 Canadian teams making the playoffs.
That's wild, especially considering last year we had a bunch.
Yeah. I think it was maybe 5 or 6 last year.
Yeah, well, everyone but Vancouver and Calgary, I think, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone out east made it. The Oilers on moneypuck.com have an 81.7% chance of making the Stanley Cup playoffs. If they win tonight in regulation, that number shoots up to 86%. If they lose tonight in regulation, that number drops to 74%. So every game right now is basically carrying a 6 to 7% swing in terms of the money puck odds. So there you go. That's what is trending this weekend around the NHL, around the rest of the world of sports. If you're a Canadian golf fan, keep an eye on Corey Connors. He is right at the top right now out at TPC Sawgrass in the Players Championship. I don't know if you're much of a watch golf on TV guy. I love watching golf on TV, so I'll be dialed in a little bit this weekend. But Corey Connors, 5 under today, has him 2 off the lead, tied for 3rd.
Sweet. There's another big Canadian sports thing to follow today.
There is.
Canada takes on USA, and they beat us at our game at the Winter Games. We know that, men's and women's. It's time we take that back.
America's pastime.
America's pastime.
Come on now.
It reminds me of U2 when they the song Helter Skelter, and they say, Charles Manson stole this song from the Beatles. We're stealing it back. And then they, dun, 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 dun. That's what we're doing. They stole our game. We're coming for theirs. We could eliminate USA in the World Baseball Classic. It starts at the exact same time as the Oilers game, so some serious flipping back and forth tonight.
TV night.
That's a double TV night if you have it. Yeah, hell yeah.
There was something about the rosters for tonight as well, but I can't find it.
So the Oilers made a trade during the show.
Yeah, I'll talk. Yeah, I was going to get to that next. Pitching tonight is Calgary's Michael Soroka for Canada, so he'll take the bump. A good Alberta boy. He's going up against Logan Webb, who usually pitches for the San Francisco Giants. But yeah, tonight's a big one for Team Canada. Korea against the Dominican Republic is the other game as well. Shout out to Bet365 Canada plus 600 underdogs. US's bats were real cold against Italy. That's obviously the big stunning game that they lost. You go under and you go plus 600 dogs. I don't mind that. Might throw a little bit of money on Team Canada tonight. Rooting for them to pull off the big upset. Aaron is right. The Edmonton Oilers made a trade today ahead of the show. Yes, we're past the trade deadline, but you can actually, teams can still make any kind of trade that they want. The only stipulation is that if you make a trade now, you aren't eligible for the playoffs. But you'll see, and we've seen more of it this year than in years past, but they made a minor league deal with the Canucks. Edmonton traded away Jaden Gruby, who they had acquired a number of years ago from the New York Rangers. He's a Calgary boy, but he couldn't stick in Bakersfield this year. He's been down in the ECHL, and they traded him for Josh Bloom, who was playing with the Kalamazoo Wings. They're basically the exact same player. They each had spent some time in the American League, but are both ECHL guys right now, and they're basically just doing a swap late in the season. I think the logic here is that you give each guy a fresh start in the American League, and then you go and see if either one sticks, and it's kind of like doing a favor for the two players. Like, hey, we're not going to sign you again this summer. We're going to trade you somewhere else, see if they like you more, and give a reset. But yeah, basically you can make trades after the deadline. The Oilers just won't be allowed to call up Josh Bloom for the playoffs if they want to.
Damn.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, does he play net?
He was a third round pick of the Sabres in 2021. So there is everything that a quick Google search told me about Josh Bloom in the last couple of minutes here. World Baseball Classic, Corey Connors, out-of-town scoreboard. The Buffalo Sabres. You wanted to talk about them with Jeff. We just ran out of time with him. But, like, good Lord. They lost last night. Their 8-game winning streak came to an end. But, like, who had the Buffalo Sabres sitting first place in the Atlantic Division on March 13th?
And so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like that Tage Thompson 5 one-timers in a row was unbelievable hockey. It was like I was laughing, I was cheering. It was the best. Like for a non-goal clip, it's one of the best things I've seen in a long time.
Snickering like a little bit.
Yeah,
he was laughing. Like,
well, I think
how pooped he must have been. I'd be so tired after that.
By the fourth one, I almost felt like, because the fourth one I think wasn't like a great shot to take, but I think by the fourth one he was in on the bit. Yeah. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna keep it." Like because the crowd was feeding him too.
Yeah,
like that's the other thing about Buffalo, and like I obviously have a soft spot for Buffalo sports fans, but like those Sabres fans have been starved for 14 years. Think if you're let's call it a 22-year-old Buffalo Sabres fan.
Yeah.
The last time they made the playoffs, you were 8. You don't really fully understand. And listen, Oilers fans of that era can kind of understand it too. But like, you were 8. If you're a 20-year-old Sabres fan, you would have been 6. You don't remember them in the playoffs.
Correct.
You've basically never seen the Sabres in the playoffs. This is your chance as a 20-year-old to be crushing beers with your boys and watching playoff hockey. How fired up would you be for that?
Well, and even for the old fans, like who must miss it so much, because some of the Sabres playoff runs, like Jeff was talking about with Hasek and that, were pretty awesome. And like mean teams, fun teams, big personalities on the ice. I don't know. And it kind of feels like they're back to that. My question about it is, what is their secret sauce right now? Is it just everybody came together? Because they had these same guys at the start of the season, and they looked like they were going to end up with the first overall pick. Like
fired their GM because it was so bad. Not only that, they had most of these guys last year.
Right. So
crazy.
It's such a strange shift that it's that drastic. Yeah. But you see like the players that they have on their team, and it makes sense that they'd be dominant. They've got so many top end players.
We talked about like how good and deep Dallas is. Dallas has 9 players who've hit double digits in goals this year. Buffalo actually has 10. Noah Ostlund, Bowen Byram, Matthias Samuelsson, Ryan McLeod, Rasmus Dahlin, Jack Quinn, Jason Zucker, Josh Doan, Alex Tuck, and Tage Thompson leads the way. They've also, again, people go 3 goalie systems, that's bad. They've been carrying 3 goalies all season. Alex Lyon has a 914 in 31 games. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen 905 in 26 games. Colton Ellis 896, which is still league average, by the way. So plug that into kind of the equation. No matter which one of their 3 guys played, they're getting league average goaltending.
And I guess young defensemen don't really start to shine until they're in their mid-20s, and that's what they're starting to see now with, Dahlin's in the Norris conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Question for you. Did they bring Kevin Adams back for a playoff game to put him on the big screen?
Yeah, you did this.
Yeah. He just was taking it for so long. The moment he leaves, all of his moves pan out, and he doesn't get to reap the rewards of any of it.
Yeah, can you put his name in brackets if they win GM of the year?
Shout out Kevin Adams.
He was fired, wins GM of the year. But even Kevin Adams, and again, he made a lot of dumb moves in his time as Sabres GM, but he made that deal of Kesselring and Doan for JJ Peterka. And you look, Peterka's got 22 goals with Utah. He's been fine. 22 goals, 40 points. Josh Doan has, I think, a better stat line. 21 goals, 23 assists. He has more points.
Right.
Than the guy he was traded for that they had to throw Kesselring in the deal too. That was a great move.
Did he do Cousins for Norris as well?
Yeah, he did Cousins
Band-Aid
for Norris.
for an incredibly good hockey player.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no. Well, that's a bad one for Adams because he got Norris, and Norris has been brutal.
Yep, you're totally right. Yep, I'm off. Okay,
but
moron.
That one is okay. Yeah, that's why he was.
You're right. That's
fired.
a bad one. That's a bad one.
But even the Ryan McLeod deal, he's 4th on their team in scoring. Again,
Right,
that's a win-win deal for both teams. But for Buffalo, Savoy wouldn't have been of great use to them right now. They needed a guy who could play and kill penalties and all that stuff. He's plus 28 on the year, 2nd best on the team.
Who are they likely to, if the playoffs started today, Buffalo would be taking on what? Detroit?
I like that. I'll go by points percentage. So by points percentage, Tampa's ahead of them. So in the East, the playoff matchups would be Tampa Bay would get Boston. Carolina would get Detroit, Buffalo, Montreal. That would be awesome. The only thing I'd feel bad for is a shitload of Habs fans would be in Buffalo. So they would have to do a good, united front. We're not letting Habs fans in our building.
True.
That'd be a big one. But that would be, from an outsider perspective, a banger of a series. Pittsburgh, New York, Matt Schaefer, Sidney Crosby. That would actually be a sneaky good playoff series. And then in the West, you would get, if the playoffs started today, Colorado would get San Jose.
That'd be a fun series to watch.
I think Colorado would.
But they'd run over them.
They might win it in 3 games. San Jose might be you know what?
Yeah.
We're just going to go home.
I'd just like to see Macklin in a big TV viewing opportunity series. But.
That would be cool. McKinnon versus Macklin.
Yeah.
Dallas would get Minnie. We knew that. Anaheim would get Utah. That would be the series that you fall asleep to at night. Right? That screams you put it on TV and it's 3-1 in the 3rd period, and then you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, damn, that game went to overtime.
8:30 p.m., which means 8:48 puck drop. Oh,
True. Yeah, fair enough.
The first round's the best, man.
And then the only shitty part about that series, Anaheim-Utah, definitely being the one that puck drops at 8:52 every night, is that the other night, Edmonton-Vegas would be the other series. That starts at 8:52 every night.
Definitely.
That would suck. But Edmonton-Vegas round 1, Edmonton going to Vegas, that'd still be decent. That would also mean that they would play each other twice in the last month of the season and then play each other in a best-of-7 series.
Holy moly.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
All right, okay, we got to wrap up here. Bonspiel weekend for us.
It is.
There's a chance we see each other in the playoffs.
We're both skips on our team, too, so we'd be able to get in each other's heads while we're just standing around. I get chirped quite a bit because I say that instead of going to the gym, I'm just going to curling, but I'm the skip, so I just stand there.
Yeah.
But I use it as this is my exercise for the day. Yeah, it's the media bond spiel. Mm-hmm. Are you dressing up in costume on Saturday?
No.
Okay.
I usually don't partake in that.
It's
curl.
Why'd you even ask him that?
I knew what his answer would be, but it's cartoon themed, and I've got an Elmer Fudd costume that's really comfortable. It's just a brown sweatsuit.
That's actually
so. I think I might participate.
If I had one, I would. I just obviously don't have one.
And it comes with a little hard hat that could work as a helmet.
Costumes for you at my house.
There we go. So.
My weekly, the team I curl with on Tuesdays in St. Albert, which is just like my dad and his buddies, right? So it's like me and guys who are anywhere from 55 to 65 years old. And I play lead because, experience, right? I've curled them for 5 years. I've played lead every game except for twice. They've let me play second when we have a sub. We're out of the playoffs, and it was our last game on Tuesday. Big emotional moment. We're all putting on our curling shoes, and Bob walks in. Also, their names are like also very Bob, Tim, and Tom.
9 letters combined. Awesome.
And then my dad's Ross. Putting on my shoes, and Bob walks in. He looks at me, he goes, "How you feeling tonight, skipper?" And I was like, "What?" And they were like, "You're gonna skip tonight," because they wanted me to get ready for my Bonspiel this weekend.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a big moment for me. The other team stole 3 in the first end.
Oh boy.
So it didn't go well. It was generally a bad move for them to make, putting me in that spot, but it was cool nonetheless.
We won 17-0 last night. On fire. I am so ready for this media Bonspiel.
Do you have to play a certain amount of ends, or did they just not want to?
It was 4 ends. We were up 10-0, so that's when we were supposed to stop keeping track of score, but I'm way too competitive for that. So we played out the final 2.
In the last end?
Yeah, 7 in the last 2. We played 6.
You played 6. Okay.
Yeah. No.
All right. That's a wrap on today's show. Thank you for doing this. It's always fun. And I mean, we had more stuff planned, but time just flies. So
are we getting into bets?
Oh, shit. We haven't done our betting challenge yet. You're better at doing this than I am. No, Jay went Ekholm goal. And then, I'll pull up mine here. Wow. We almost forgot the game day betting challenge. The back-to-back games threw us off. Whatever the moment, whatever your bet, it's never ordinary at Bet365. What do you like tonight? You're not in the betting challenge, obviously, but we'll let you throw something out there.
I am going to say Oilers score first. I feel like the momentum from last night's game is going to, they know they got to come out hot. And we've said that lots and they don't. But I feel like they've got everything going tonight. And they're going to lay everything on the line in the first 5 minutes. I think it's going to be an early goal, too.
All right.
I've got Liam's bet here if you want to kill time. There you go.
So here's what Liam's got. Plus 360. Wow, he's even... Oh, he doesn't trust the win. No, that's a weasel bet.
I don't like that bet.
2 shots for Hyman, 2 shots for McDavid, 2 shots for Draisaitl, 1 point for Jack Roslovic is Liam's plus 360. Jay is going with a Matthias Ekholm goal, which is coming in on Bet 365 at... Wow, we got to scroll a while to get to Ekholm. Plus 1,000. Ryder, yours, you can take the Oilers to win the first 10 minutes of the hockey game at plus 220.
Yep. Love that.
And then I am going with, I sent it to Pat, not you by accident. McDavid, 2 points, over 6.5 goals. They're scoring a lot tonight. And Edmonton on the puck line is plus 470. So those are, that's what I got. I think they're going to win tonight like 5-2, 6-3, somewhere in that range. So, plus 470, McDavid 2 points, over 6.5, and Oilers on the puck line. Good catch. Okay. That is a wrap on today's edition of the show.
Tune into pre-gaming tonight.
Tune into pre-gaming. Aaron and Bordsy, the sauce back on Monday, obviously. Thank you again for popping in. Thank you to Jeff Marek. Everybody in the YouTube, enjoy your weekend. We'll see you back here Monday at noon Mountain. Oil up. What's up, Nation citizens? If you enjoyed today's episode of Oilers Nation Everyday, make sure you hit the subscribe button here on our YouTube to not miss any of our content. We got you covered from interviews, insight, analysis, everything you need to stay up to date on everything around the team. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video.